Diversity, equity, and inclusion in the library. You might be asking what all these terms mean and how they apply to libraries. Well, let's get into it. What does DEI mean? DEI is a term used to describe three key values: diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are values that aim to support different groups of people, regardless of sex, gender, race, ethnicity, religion, ability, sexual orientation, and many more characteristics. So why are these values important when it comes to libraries? DEI promotes access and inclusivity, reflects community demographics and therefore identifies community needs, increases creativity and innovative thought through exploration of different views and opinions, and it fosters a sense of social justice and unity in the community. This is a really good quote that sums up the DEI movement across the US. It reads, "In a city where 9 out of 10 people are white and nearly everyone speaks English, it would be easy, perhaps even statistically justifiable, to leave the difficult and often uncomfortable work of diversity, equity, and inclusion to those large libraries situated within urban cores. However, to do so would be antithetical to the shared mission of public libraries and who we need to be in this incredible moment of opportunity, where addressing the obstacles to diversity, equity, and inclusion have become a top priority nationwide." It really encapsulates the mindset that these values are not just for urban areas or when things are convenient, because there will always be diversity in any community, whether it's visible or even dormant. Let's look at these terms a bit deeper. The ALA defines diversity as the sum of ways that people are both alike and different, including visible and invisible ways. This can be seen in libraries in numerous ways. With cultural and language diversity come books, materials, or programming that teach or reflect different cultures and religions. This could include art, music, or history. Gender diversity can highlight authors or needs from or for a specific gender audience. Ability diversity can cater both to physical aids and non-physical services. Diversity of perspectives can reflect social, political, and economic issues. Age diversity can be reached by offering services to a range of age groups, from infants to seniors. Socioeconomic diversity provides resources and support to individuals from varying socioeconomic backgrounds. And finally, diversity of physical library material formats can include physical books, audio or e-books, media, and online platforms. Equity, different than equality. The ALA states that equity assumes difference and takes difference into account to ensure a fair process and ultimately a fair or equitable outcome. Keyword being fairness. The library can support equity by creating an inclusive environment and providing equal opportunities for both library staff and patrons. Some examples of equity for patron services include multilingual services for individuals who need information in a language other than English. This service can be superficial or intensive depending on library resources and patron needs. Another example is accessible services such as assistive technology or accommodations. Promoting literacy and learning through educational resources can increase patrons' equity with their personal career goals. Another example is providing patrons with resources that they may not have access to otherwise. This can be as simple as sharing information about financial aid or how to register to vote. Lastly, eliminating fees and fines. Many libraries are doing away with fines, and this can help low-income individuals access library resources. The last value is inclusion. The ALA defines inclusion as an environment in which all individuals are treated fairly and respectfully, are valued for their distinctive skills, experiences, and perspectives, have equal access to resources and opportunities, and can contribute fully to the organization's success. Inclusion creates an environment where people feel welcomed, safe, valued, and respected. This is important for patrons because in order to provide accessible resources and services, they must first feel welcome and safe in their environment. This may sound very similar to equity, as you can't often have one without the other, so let's differentiate them. Equity aims to address systematic barriers and create a level playing field so that everyone has the same chance to succeed. Inclusion, on the other hand, is about fostering a sense of value and empowerment. Some examples of inclusion in the library are having a diverse range of books and materials in the library collection, from characters to authors to languages. Physical accessibility is also important for inclusion because if there are no accommodations made, those patrons can't physically access the library spaces or materials. Another example is multilingual services. If multilingual resources, programming, or staff can meet needs of the community, it's creating a more inclusive environment. Staff, just as patrons, should be welcome and diverse, and inclusive decisions should be made with staffing and recruiting. This includes training existing staff to be more mindful and shifting the mindset to look through a DEI lens. Lastly, the heart of inclusion is creating a safe and welcoming space. If patrons don't feel welcome, they simply won't utilize library services and resources. This can affect all aspects of library management, including hiring, policy making, and collection development. When it comes to hiring, a diverse workforce should reflect the community it serves. There is a startlingly low amount of diversity among library professionals, and it can impede user accessibility and hinder these kind of initiatives. Reviewing policies can identify gaps and barriers where access and services can be improved for all groups of people. And having diverse collections is probably the easiest way to introduce DEI into a library, as librarians are constantly reviewing the collection. It can be pushed one step further to identify gaps and actively seek out diverse material. In addition, DEI values also affect programming and patron services. Services like resources should be evaluated to ensure different cultures and viewpoints are being represented. Also, programming should be assessed to see if the same groups are always being catered towards, and how programming can reflect other interests and priorities. Libraries should be reaching out to these diverse groups and building relationships, soliciting feedback, and promoting services that teach cultural competencies not only to the community but also to the staff. Diversity, equity, and inclusion all sound similar. That's because they're all closely linked, like puzzle pieces that fit perfectly together. The same examples can be seen from each value, because often, without one, it's very hard to have the others. DEI can have a significant impact on patron services, and by prioritizing these values, libraries can ensure they're meeting the needs of their diverse communities and creating an environment where everyone is welcome and included.